The Police Coast Guard is the Marine Police Division of the Singapore Police Force, which also takes on roles of the Coast Guard typically handled by the military or as separate organisations in other countries. These include the enforcement of law and order in Singapore's territorial waters, and search and rescue operations in collaboration with the Maritime and Port Authority of Singapore, and the Immigration and Checkpoints Authority. Currently headquartered in Brani Regional Base at 11 Brani Way on Pulau Brani, Singapore, it traces a history of about 170 years. History. Given Singapore's standing as a trading port since its founding in 1819, problems of piracy has accompanied its early maritime history until the 1840s, when Temenggung Datuk Ibrahim and his son, Sultan Abu Bakar of Johor, openly supported the British efforts to fight piracy. In 1866, the police's maritime operations were formally established with the building of a floating police station. Dedicated police patrol boats began patrolling the waters around the colony. In 1916, the Marine Branch was set up, before being established as a separate unit in 1924 and renamed as the Marine Police. The new unit built its first headquarters near Kavanagh Bridge along the Singapore River, and had a fleet of about 26 boats and 238 officers. During the Japanese occupation of Singapore, all vessels of the Marine Police were confiscated by the Japanese forces. After the war, the Marine Police saw rapid growth with the establishment of sub-bases at Tanjong Kling, Pulau Ubin and Pulau Tekong by 1951. In 1952, the fleet was boosted to 68 as a result of a reorganization of the police force, and rose to 70 during the confrontation with Indonesia in the 1960s in light of the increased operational needs. With the attainment of independence for Singapore in 1965, the unit was upgraded in light of increased responsibilities for the new nation. It relocated its headquarters to the new Kallang Regional Base at Kallang Basin in 1970, and became known as the Marine Division. The Marine Division underwent a major restructuring and was renamed as the Police Coast Guard on February 13, 1993, given its expanded roles in marine security responsibilities and capabilities, including preventing the intrusion of illegal migrants and foreign government vessels, and the guarding of the Husberg Lighthouse on the disputed island of Pedra Branca in the Singapore Straits. The PCG officiated the reorganization of his operations into 3 squadrons, namely the Interceptor Squadron, the Port Squadron and the Coastal Patrol Squadron on May 7, 1993, and launched the Special Task Squadron on January 22, 1997. On March 20, 2006, it relocated its headquarters to its current location at Brani Regional Base, due to the planned damming of the Marina Bay and Kallang Basin. The new Police Coast Guard headquarters at Pulau Brani was officially opened on February 8, 2007 by the Minister for Home Affairs, DPM Wong Kan Seng, Incidents and Accidents. On December 6, 1984, police boat PX-5 left its base in Jurong for routine patrol. En route, SC Abdul Rashid bin Mohammed said shot Sergeant Chin Akau in the head and threw his body overboard. PC Wahid bin Ahmad and PC Shamsuddin bin Haji Ali were forced off the boat, and subsequently found near Pulau Senang, by which time PC Wahid had drowned and PC Shamsuddin the sole survivor. Sergeant Chin's body was never found. On December 28, 1999, petrol bombs hurled from an escaping speedboat hit a police boat off Sembawang, although no one was hurt. The speedboat was attempting to smuggle in illegal migrants, and was later captured by the police. On January 3, 2003, 6 officers led by DSP 1 Tan Wee Wah Stephen aboard Penthouse 50 assisted in the rescue of crew on the stricken Republic of Singapore Navy ship RSS Courageous after a collision with a merchant ship, ANL Indonesia. All the officers were subsequently awarded with the Pingat Kebaranian Polis. On September 11, 2004, a collision between a PCG boat and a cabin cruiser out on a fishing trip resulted in the death of a 47-year-old prisons officer. His partner and colleague was rescued. In March 2006, a PCG craft PT-34 rammed an outrigger canoe with 6 crew members from the Singapore Paddle Club, resulting in injuries to 3 canoe crew members. On April 13, 2007, 2 interceptor craft of the Special Task Squadron were on ambush duty off Tuas in the vicinity of Tuas Jetty, when a speedboat with 6 illegal immigrants and cartons of cigarettes intruded into Singapore's territorial waters at about 9:30 p.m. The speedboat sped off when approached by the police, resulting in a 5-minute chase which ended with a collision between one of the craft and the speedboat near Pulau Brani. PK-50 capsized, while the speedboat was completely wrecked. 2 officers were rescued from the scene within minutes with minor injuries, while SI Mode Khalid bin Mohammed, 41, and SSGT Hay Kim An, 29, who were trapped in the steering compartment, were missing. Their bodies were found on April 14, 2007 at about 8:15 a.m. 3 passengers on the intruding vessels were also rescued, and a 4th man found dead. The rest of the passengers were still missing. The 2 officers were the first casualties for the STS and the PCG since the latter's evolution from the Marine Division in 1993. It was also the first instance where a police boat is capsized and the first police fatalities as a result of a high-speed chase. Both officers were posthumously promoted to the rank of Senior Station Inspector and Senior Staff Sergeant respectively. Organization. The Police Coast Guard is currently headed by Senior Assistant Commissioner Shu Sin Yun. It operates from 4 regional bases around the island, namely the Brani Regional Base in the south, Gull Regional Base in the west, Lim Chu Kang Regional Base in the north, and Loyang Regional Base in the east. It also maintains a police post on Pulau Brani. Each of these regional bases are organized similarly to the neighborhood police centers of the land divisions, and conduct patrols within their respective maritime sectors. The fleet is organized into 3 main squadrons. The Interceptor Squadron consists of PC-class high-speed patrol craft able to control the movement of illegal immigrants along the Straits of Java. The Port Squadron is made up of the newer generation PT-class boats with the primary task of ensuring the security of the Port of Singapore by responding to incidents and to project police presence. The 3rd Squadron, the Coastal Patrol Squadron, operates the PH-class coastal patrol craft to secure the sea passages in Singapore waters and ensure safe passage for legitimate users. The PCG also has an elite unit known as the Special Task Squadron, activated to conduct high-risk operations where speed and firepower are deemed necessary. They were instrumental in the capture of one of the 3 armed robbers who infiltrated into Singapore on Pulau Tekong in March 2004. Operations. The Police Coast Guard conducts round-the-clock patrols in Singapore's territorial waters from its 4 regional bases, in an area of more than 200 square nautical miles. It is also responsible for maintaining law and order on most of Singapore's islands, except those which are directly accessible by road from the main island, such as Jurong Island, Sentosa and Pulau Brani. While piracy was the main source of concern leading to the establishment of the Marine Police, it has become almost a non-issue today with no cases of piracy in Singapore's territorial waters in the last decade. Crimes in the offshore islands or in the waters are also markedly low. Maritime border control. The control of illegal migrants entering Singapore's waters has become one of the most visible roles of the PCG, however, aided in part by constant media reports on such arrests. On August 17, 2006, its arrest of 22 illegal migrants in 4 separate incidents was touted as the largest number arrested by the PCG in a day by the media. While the number of intrusions has been drastically reduced in recent years with the acquisition of radar and other sophisticated night vision equipment, the attraction of Singapore as a migrant destination continues to pose a constant operational challenge to the PCG. In a further bid to thwart illegal immigrants, the PCG erected physical barriers in the form of high fencing along critical areas of the shoreline where intrusions are common, including Lim Chu Kang, Pulau Punggol Barat, Pulau Brani and the Western Live Firing Area. By the end of December 2003, the total length of fencing has reached 24.7 kilometers, although there were some protests over the potential environmental hazards the fencing may pose to natural amphibious species, particularly on Pulau Brani. The PCG attempted to allay these fears by informing that the fencing are constructed to allow small animals to pass below them. Terrorism. the heightened security alert after the September 11, 2001 attacks necessitated additional attention paid to preventing possible terrorism attacks by sea, a possibility underscored during the revelation of the Singapore Embassy's attack plot by the Jemaah Islamiyah in December 2001, where it was revealed that the Changi Naval Base was the subject of surveillance. There were also possible plans to bomb American Navy ships using the narrow channel between Pulau Tekong and Changi in the northeast of Singapore. In response to these threats, the PCG stepped up routine checks on vessels in Singapore's territorial waters, in particular that of passenger ferries returning from regional destinations. Since late 2004, officers were given additional training in the areas of boarding vessels for this purpose, and equipped with skills in the detection of explosives, drugs and fraudulent documents. Coastal Security Force, the Police Coast Guard would be providing manpower to a new setup called the Coastal Security Force. The Coastal Security Force is a unit under the Maritime and Port Authority of Singapore that would be responsible for the safeguarding of non-gazetted landing points, which falls under the International Ship and Port Facility Security Code or manpower. The Police Coast Guard has a strength of over 1,000, one of the largest amongst the operational units in the Singapore Police Force. It has traditionally drawn its manpower from a common pool of officers, as is the case with land divisions and most other line units. The majority were posted to the unit immediately after basic police training, while the rest were transferred from other divisions or units. In recent years, it offered an option for aspiring regular officers to apply directly to join the unit, thus needing only to attend common courses at the Home Team Academy before receiving specialized marine training for immediate posting within the unit upon graduation. Due to the specialized nature of the job, officers with the PCG are less likely to transfer to other operational units. Senior officers in the PCG are, however, usually posted there as part of their cyclical rotation amongst staff and line units after their mandatory initial posting as investigation officers, typically for a short stint of about 2 to 5 years. The unit's manpower is supplemented by national servicemen, as well as officers from the Volunteer Special Constabulary. Training, uniforms. The evolution of uniforms worn by the Police Coast Guard largely mirrors that for the land-based divisions, with its earliest uniforms reflecting British heritage and influence. Early uniforms are based on that of Navy sailors, consisting of an all-white attire of long-sleeved shirts and shorts. Officers wore the same khaki-based uniforms which were introduced in the land divisions from 1890, before switching to the Dacron blue uniform in 1969 along with the rest of the police force. When the Marine Police was reorganized and renamed as the Police Coast Guard in 1993, the uniform was also changed to the combat uniform. This uniform consisted of a long-sleeved shirt and long pants made of a slightly tougher polyester, and does away with almost all metal parts via the use of Velcro and plastic buttons. They don a blue beret, but are permitted to wear a baseball cap while on operational duties. Footwear is in the form of lace-up leather shoes with non-slip soles. Unlike the combat uniform worn by other units in the police force, the uniform adopted hidden plastic buttons to avoid entanglements, and does away with garters since shoes, and not boots, are worn to allow rapid removal should water entry be required. In May 2005, the Island Patrol uniform was introduced, consisting of a helmet, dark blue polo top and Bermudas for officers performing bicycle patrol duties on Pulau Brani. These were introduced to project a softer image on the island where recreational activities abound, and to provide greater comfort for the officers in the humid outdoor weather. As part of a force-wide review of the police uniforms, the PCG adopted the new combat uniform similar to that currently worn by the Special Operations Command, albeit with a darker shade of blue. While they were introduced to overcome existing limitations of the current uniform, such as allowing for less hindrance in body movement due to the more relaxed fit, and its non-flammable properties, they met with opposition from some officers who feel it projects the wrong image to the general public, including its technician look. Officers began to don the new combat uniform from August 21, 2006. Firearms and equipment. Officers of the PCG are equipped with the Taurus Model 85 revolver, much like their land division counterparts. though instead of a Monadnock Prairie 21T baton, PCG officers are issued with the ASP telescopic baton, due to its suitable and ease of use, especially when collapsed, in confined space on board ships. While the Glock 19 semi-automatic pistol is issued to Special Task Squadron officers. Police Coast Guard officers are also equipped with Sabre red pepper spray as a less-than-lethal option. Other weapons such as the Heckler & Koch MP5, M16 rifle and ARWEN-37 are also stowed aboard each patrol craft, with a pump-action shotgun and the FN-303 as additional weapons for the Special Task Squadron. Mounted on the boats themselves are weapons such as the FN General Purpose Machine Gun, the Oerlikon 20mm cannon and or the Browning machine gun, depending on the type of craft. Current fleet. There are currently 8 types of boats utilized by the PCG, namely the Command Boat, the Coastal Patrol Craft, 3 types of PT boats, the new PC Class Patrol Craft, the PK Class Interceptor Craft for the Special Task Squadron, and the PJ Class inflatable boats for localized patrols, particularly up smaller rivers and canals. Command Boat. The 2 command boats in operation are slightly larger versions of the regular patrol craft, and built by Asia Pacific Geraldton in 1998. Coastal Patrol Craft. The PCG operates a fleet of 12 coastal patrol craft for securing Singapore's territorial waters, including the waters surrounding the Hosberg Lighthouse. The craft were upgraded and handed over by the Republic of Singapore Navy, with the first 4 officially handed over on May 7, 1993, another 4 on June 3, 1994, and the last 4 on January 22, 1997. The CPCs were built between 1979 and 1980, but continued service for over 2 decades while a proper replacement was being sourced. New Coastal Patrol Craft. In 2006, the PCG signed a contract with Daman Shipyard to build 10 specially designed boats, the Daman Stan Patrol 3507, to replace its aging Coastal Patrol Craft. The first vessel, Penthouse 51 Mako Shark, was commissioned on February 3, 2009. Patrol Craft. The oldest generation of patrol craft in PCG service were built in 1984. Odd-numbered craft are based in Gull Base and even-numbered craft are based in Brani. Patrol Craft. The second generation of patrol craft were built between 1987 and 1989, including the 2 command boats. Another 4 boats are operated by the Immigration and Checkpoints Authority. Odd-numbered craft are based in Gull Base. Patrol Craft. The third generation of patrol craft were introduced in 1998, with 18 built in 1999 and another 7 in 2000. They are the Stingray 18WJ class manufactured by Strategic Marine. At a top speed of 40 knots, they were 10 knots faster than the older PT-class boats in the PCG when they were officially launched on January 29, 2000. Odd-numbered craft are based in Gull Base. New Generation Patrol Craft. The New Generation Patrol Craft, also known as the Fast Response Craft, were delivered from the year 2002. There are currently 32 in active service. Even-numbered craft are based in Loyang Base, while odd-numbered craft are in Lim Chu Kang. Interceptor Craft. There are 2 generations of interceptor craft in service, with the first delivered in 1995. The second generation of 6 boats with a different color scheme and modified design was introduced in 1999 and officially launched on January 29, 2000. Rigid-hulled inflatable boats. The PJ class of rigid-hulled inflatable boats suitable for cruising up rivers and large drains and introduced in 1997. There are several other types of fast craft boats playing a supportive role. The following is a list of second-generation PK-class vessels. They have been renumbered and are put into normal patrol operations. Collaborations. The PCG has engaged in joint operations with the Republic of Singapore Navy since the 1990s, as well as with foreign agencies. Alliances were forged with the Royal Malaysian Police Marine Operations Force and the TNIL. It is involved in the annual Cooperation Afloat Readiness and Training Program with the United States Coast Guard, the RSN, and 5 other Southeast Asian countries. In 2001, It was involved in a joint anti-illegal migrant operation with the Japan Coast Guard in Kanazawa. The PCG also has collaborations with the Republic of Korea Coast Guard and makes regular contacts with the Hong Kong Police Force's Marine Region through a reciprocal attachment program. The PCG has collaborated with the National Police Cadet Corps to establish C units in secondary schools. The first 2 units were set up in Anglo-Chinese School and Springfield Secondary School in 2002, with the PCG's pool of reservists and volunteer special constabulary officers providing training for the cadets. The first all-girls C unit was set up in Raffles Girls' School in 2006. The PCG also supports the Special Tactics and Rescue Unit Euro unregistered trademark S Maritime Assault Capability, which was launched on February 2, 2005. References: General, Policing Singapore in the 19th and 20th Centuries, Pierre M. Akbar, Singapore Police Force, 2002 ISBN 981-04-7024-X, English News, 5 more illegals caught at sea trying to enter Singapore, Justin Olby, Television Corporation of Singapore, March 17, 1998, English News, Coast Guard steps up fight against illegal immigrants, Justin Olby, Television Corporation of Singapore, February 18, 1998, specific. External links: Singapore Police Force, Police Coast Guard.